Morning light streamed through the stained glass window by our front door, casting bright purples and yellows across the hall. It was a pretty pattern, almost mocking the chaos just steps away. My husband James lay on the living room floor, his breathing weak and uneven. His eyes fluttered, half open, sweat dripped down his face, and his left arm shook wildly, like it had a mind of its own. In our 26 years together, I'd never heard the awful, animal-like sounds coming from his throat. My name's Clara, and in that moment, I knew this wasn't the heartburn James laughed off. This was something terrible, something deadly. I grabbed my phone, hands shaking, and called 911 as I watched him struggle. The operator's voice was calm, too calm, telling me to watch his breathing and stay steady until the ambulance arrived. "He's having chest pains," I said, my voice breaking. "Really bad ones." I heard sirens, faint but growing louder, and relief grew in me like a fragile flower. Help was coming. But then everything turned into a nightmare I couldn't imagine. The ambulance screeched to a stop outside, red lights flashing through the curtains. 2 paramedics jumped out, gear in hand, and ran toward our porch, then stopped cold. I threw the door open, screaming for them to hurry, but they didn't move. At first, I thought something scary was behind me, some hidden danger stopping them. Then I saw her, Patricia Hayes, the new president of the Cedar Grove HOA, standing between the paramedics and my doorstep, holding a paper like it was a king's order. She tapped it with a neat finger, her voice sharp as I yelled, "He's having a heart attack. Get in here now." The taller paramedic, his badge showing Wilson, stared at me, his face confused and worried. He looked from Patricia's paper to the stretcher and said, "Ma'am, we're being told we can't enter without HOA approval." His words sounded ridiculous, like a bad movie line. I almost laughed, thinking it was a cruel joke. I waved them in again, panic clawing at me, but Patricia spoke again. "This property is under an access dispute," she said, stiff and cold, like a teacher scolding a kid. "You're not allowed here until it's resolved. These are the rules." Rules? My husband was dying, his face red and twisted, his lips turning purple, and this woman was talking about rules. I screamed, "He's dying, for God's sake," and stepped forward, ready to pull the paramedics inside myself. But Patricia shoved that paper in my way, HOA Bylaw 17C, a strange rule hidden in the fine print of meetings no one went to. It said that because of an unresolved fight over our overgrown bushes and unpaid fines, the HOA could stop unauthorized personnel from our property. I never dreamed a rule could block paramedics from saving a life, but here it was, used with cold precision. James and I would have fought it if we'd known, but it had appeared without warning. Seconds turned to minutes. One paramedic went back to the ambulance, probably calling for help, while I stood helpless, watching James fade. Weren't there laws to stop this? Didn't paramedics have the right to act? Not when the HOA threatened lawsuits for trespassing on restricted property. The paramedics hesitated, caught in a legal mess, their jobs at risk. I couldn't understand it. My husband needed air, not a fight with a paper-pushing bully. It was a crazy standoff, an ambulance waiting, 2 paramedics frozen, and Patricia Hayes unmoving as a rock while my screams echoed. I dropped beside James, pressing my hands to his chest, trying CPR from a class I barely remembered. I wasn't trained, but I had to try, to keep him breathing, to keep him with me. His lips were fully purple, his gasps faint. Then, a miracle, Wilson muttered, "Forget this," and pushed past Patricia. His partner followed, ignoring her loud threats to call the police. "Call who you want," I yelled, my voice rough. "Just save him." They put an oxygen mask on James, started chest presses, and lifted him onto a stretcher. I held on to hope as they worked, telling myself they'd save him now. But at the hospital, hope broke. James went into full heart failure on the operating table and was gone within the hour. I didn't cry then, not yet. The world felt empty, and all I could see was Patricia's smug face, like James's life was just another task she marked done. The coroner's report later confirmed my fears: a massive heart attack, survivable with quick care, but the delay likely caused his death. That word, delay, burned in me. Patricia wasn't just a petty boss anymore. She might be a killer. At 52, I was a widow, and something in me was ready to fight. The next morning, I woke at dawn, the house silent without James's coffee pot clinking. His presence was everywhere: the scratch tile from a dropped pan, the fridge magnet saying "Good morning, sunshine." Grief hurt, but anger was stronger. I opened my laptop and dug into Cedar Grove's HOA rules. No legal skills, just fury. Bylaw 17C was added 3 months earlier, a vague rule about blocking access during disputes over fees or violations. Our crime? Bush's James planted too close to the property line, causing a fine we fought over a bad survey. The HOA planned a hearing, but they punished us first, twisting unauthorized personnel to include paramedics. It was absurd until it wasn't. Phone calls started that day, neighbors with kind words, then reporters chasing a story. Our street filled with news vans by noon. Patricia released a statement, calling it an unfortunate misunderstanding due to a property dispute, never saying James's name, just the homeowner. Her nerve fueled me. Then Tom Larson, a retired lawyer neighbor who loved flannel and dog walks, came by. He'd seen it all from his window: the stalled ambulance, Patricia's blockade, and his voice shook as he said, "This is criminal, Clara. If you fight, I'm with you." I didn't think twice. We built a case: Bush dispute records, the bylaws text, neighbor stories, that cold press release. The paramedics, Wilson and his partner, would be key if we could find them. I called my son Lucas at his Air Force base, preparing for his grief. "Mom, do it," he said, voice firm. Dad always said, "Stand up when it's tough." That night, I lit one of James's cigars in the backyard, the smoke curling into the dusk, tears finally falling as I imagined him joking beside me. Grief could wait. I had a battle to fight. 6 months later, we filled a county courthouse, the story now viral after a journalist's report. Letters poured in, some cheering, others angry at HOA power. Our civil suit against Cedar Grove claimed wrongful death and negligence, but the DA saw a crime. Paramedics Wilson and Patel testified they'd begged Patricia to let them through, explaining James's emergency, but she refused. Emails surfaced, Patricia to board members, promising to enforce 17C strictly, so everyone knows we're serious, even if it meant stopping a medical team. A board member warned of lawsuits. She replied, "Let them sue. We can't let fines slide." The courtroom gasped. She knew the risk and didn't care. Patricia's defense, that she only asked for credentials, crumbled under witnesses. On the stand, she stumbled, admitting she'd threatened trespassing charges, saying it was their choice to break rules. The jury saw intent, not just a mistake. After tense days, they convicted her of involuntary manslaughter, a rare charge that shocked the room. The HOA paid damages, a hollow amount. Outside, I faced cameras, voice steady. James deserved a chance he didn't get because an HOA thought rules beat decency. Justice came, but it can't fix my heart. Cedar Grove fell apart, board members quit, the group dissolved, and a new one formed with fair rules. I painted our house light blue, got a fun mailbox, small ways to keep going. Neighbors split, some thanked me, others worried about property values. Lucas came home, hugging me tight on that porch, whispering, "Dad would be proud." A year later, we scattered James's ashes at our fishing lake, the wind carrying him into the dawn. Patricia's appeals failed, her case sparking HOA reforms across the country. James's death changed more than our neighborhood. It challenged a system that ignored lives. Love, I learned, can beat even the worst rules. Though grief stays, James's spirit lives on in every life saved by what we changed.